Hey everybody, welcome to my new YouTube channel. My name's Phil, and for those of you that follow me on Instagram, you already know that a big thing about me is that I promote my spiritual journey, right? The difficult spiritual journey that really all of us are on, whether we realize it or not. And what I want this channel to be is a sort of an expanding of that, where I can essentially sit down and talk in front of the camera for a few minutes and talk about these topics in more depth. On my Instagram, I basically do captions, small posts that just talk about something that's on my mind, usually very religious. I'm not going to hide it, I'm a Catholic. And it's taken me a long time to really grasp that and take, that bull by the horns and run with it, but now I am. And essentially I want this channel to be a part of that. I want this to be an expansion of that. I'm still a guy that's making tons of mistakes, doing tons of things that are wrong. And I want to get better, and I want to have a better understanding of what this whole God thing is and what exactly it is He wants from me. So I'm sort of jumping to the end of the topic for this video, which is, what is the purpose of life, right? Why are we here? Is it just the mundane? Is it just to get a really good job, make a bunch of money, maybe if you do really well, get a swimming pool in the backyard, and maybe even in a sort of popular secular sense, have a couple of kids and just feel like you've contributed to society and then be done with it? Well, I don't think that's enough. That's never been enough. And it's never been enough for so many other people out there. You see that in society today. You see a lot of people are depressed. They're upset. They're constantly searching. And they're ending up doing crazy, crazy things because they don't know what their purpose is. They don't know why they're here. And that's a terrible thing. And I've been there. And in a certain sense, I sort of still am there. Is that really all there is to life? Or is there so much more to it? Does having those kids, having that swimming pool in the backyard, does that maybe lead to something greater? Is it all part of some bigger plan? Now, I know a lot of people out there are going to say, well, I mean, you're just trying to tell yourself this to make yourself feel better. It's sort of this egotistical notion that you're meant for bigger things. Well, just take it as it is. You were plopped on this earth by chaos, and that's it. Make the most of it. Just enjoy the ride. And maybe that works for some people, but I'm going to be honest with you, just looking out at society these days, it isn't. Everyone's upset. Everyone's depressed. It's not enough. They need to know that there's more to be gotten out of life. And so that's what this channel is going to be all about. Basically, the premise of searching for my purpose in life, which, by the way, spoiler alert, I've decided to grab the bull by the horns and pursue Catholicism without stopping, right? Because I've started to make my way through the scriptures, I've started a more in-depth prayer life, and I've started to realize that things in my life are changing. The relationships around me are changing. My friendships are changing. And I mean all for the better. Things are getting better in my life, and I don't even realize it happening because I'm a very impatient person, so I always want things to happen quickly. But now when I take a step back, and over the past few months especially, I've noticed things starting to get better when I actually take a moment to look at them and say, whoa, my friendship is blossoming to a level I've never seen it go before. I've been able to get through some of the most difficult things that most other people wouldn't be able to pass through. It's incredible. And so that's essentially the essence of what this channel is all about. Me on that spiritual journey, finding that purpose in life, and inevitably attaining it. Because that's the idea, right? So how did I get here? How exactly did I get to this point? Now, a lot of other people out there, atheists and agnostics or those types, or anti-religious altogether, would say, well, Phil, you were raised Catholic. That's true. I was. I was raised by a pretty, well, I mean, I guess you could call it a strict household, pretty strict Catholic household. Sure, that might have had a certain effect on me. And you're like, oh, you're brainwashed, so you're just going to continue on with whatever was ingrained into your head. Well, I would take that, I'd buy that argument, if not for the fact that I completely tossed it away for a majority of my life, let's say. I'm only 28 years old, but it was a huge chunk of my life through my teens, early 20s, through college and all of that, where I essentially tossed my faith out the window. It didn't attract me. I wanted the pleasures of this life. I wanted what this world had to offer. I didn't want to be a part of this Catholicism with all of its rules. Thou shalt not commit adultery, honor your father and your mother, having to obey them all the time, going to mass all the time. Why would I want to be a part of that? I wanted what the world had to offer. So much more fun. There was so much more out there to enjoy, to have a good time. No. It's the opposite. The brainwashing did not go towards Catholicism. If anything else, the brainwashing of society is what held me in. That's what I wanted. That's what my physical disposition is geared towards. It's geared towards physical pleasures. I am a sensual human being that wants to sense things in life. Hence why it's made my whole faith thing so difficult, because it asks us to go to a God that we can't actually touch right now, at least not in the normal sense that we know. And I'll talk about that more in a later video. I'll talk about my struggles with faith and kind of how I've reasoned my way through and taken that leap. But that's a subject for another time. But something else I want to talk about too is also just this thing that I've had. So the reason that I'm back here, right, is because of this burning for truth. I've always had this innate, uncontrollable desire to want to find truth wherever it is, whatever it is, whether it's ugly, beautiful, I don't care. I just want to know what is. That's it. No strings attached. Just tell me what is. And this burning for truth has led me to not stop searching. And yes, that means sometimes I even pay attention to other religions too. So this is not, again, to this whole brainwashing thing. It's not about that, right? I'm looking at everything. I'm looking for what is true. It may not be obvious. Truth doesn't have to be obvious, but I'm looking for what's true. And so I've always had that thirst, that desire to go out there to search for what is. And that leads me to a conversation that I had with a friend, I believe it was a couple of years ago. And it was a really important sort of gauge for understanding where you're at in your spiritual journey, right? And essentially the conversation went like this. We were with a few friends and we were having lunch. And we got into the religious debate about the existence of God, etc. Now, my one friend, my very, very close friend, he's a diehard Catholic, right? He's diehard spiritual. There's just no questions asked. He's fully invested in this, and he's never giving it up for anything. And that's great. But it made him go after this other person pretty violently when the other person was saying, no, I don't buy it. You know, sort of the spaghetti monster in the sky, that sort of thing. You got nothing. Now, one thing you got to understand about me in this conversation is I've already admitted to you that I've struggled with faith, which means that I have a certain sympathy towards people like this. It doesn't necessarily bother me that they're having a crisis of faith or difficulty coming to the conclusion that this is what they should pursue. That's okay. That's just part of the process. That's what what I'm doing here on YouTube and Instagram and all of that is all about. It's that process of finding that meaning, that God. So that didn't bother me. I didn't mind that he had questions or concerns or, wasn't buying this or that. That's fine. But what happened was when I asked him this. What I said to him is this, and I'm paraphrasing, but you'll admit, at least, while you may not accept the premises of all these arguments that we just threw out there, you'll at least admit that you still have so much more you have to learn, right? Because we don't know what's out there, if there's a God out there and all that. You don't know for certain that it's not true. You just haven't seen anything that's made it certain for you. So you would accept that you still have to go out there and you still have to search and you still have to look, right? And his answer to me was really telling. And he said, no. I'm good. I'm good. He's done. He's done. He's done. He's figured it all out. He's figured out as much as he needs to know, right? He is just going to settle with what that mundane life I talked about a little bit before. That's it. He's good. Career, maybe a couple kids. That's it. He's done. He's figured out the meaning of the universe. And so when I heard that, conversation was over. I ended it because right then and there I knew there's a certain, I don't know if I want to call it a pride, but it's sort of, let's just say it's very dangerous, right? It's a very dangerous place to be when you say you've got it all figured out. When there are still so many questions out there in life. What is the purpose of all of this? Everybody's searching for meaning. Like we all have that in common. I don't care what you believe in. Everybody's scrambling, trying to figure out why they're here, right? It's what separates us from the animals. So like you'll never see a squirrel running out there and picking up a nut and then saying, why am I here? And then starting to have a panic attack. And if you ever do, let me know. But they don't, right? We're the only creatures on planet Earth that seem to be concerned with what are we doing here? And for you to say, I'm good. How can you possibly say that? There's still so many questions left unanswered. How can you say that? So with me, with Catholicism, with spirituality, I think the answer is this. The key lock is not through obvious scientific reason, although there is some that will get you far. At the end of the day, you have to approach it with an open heart. That's the key that unlocks everything. If you open and search for the truth at all costs with an open heart, you will find it. And therein lies the purpose of life. Well, guys, thanks so much for watching. Again, this was my very first video, so who knows if it's any good, if you guys are even gonna like it, but please, please, please Let me know what you think in the comments. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give the video a like. I need your support on this to know if this is something I should keep doing. Also, after you subscribe, there's that little bell. YouTube's all messed up, so hit that notification bell that just lets them know that you want to see more videos from me. So again, thanks so much for watching, guys. I am extremely grateful for your support. I'm also on Instagram. That'll be linked below, where you can follow my journey there with various captions and pictures amongst my religious travels and spiritual journey. Thanks again, guys. Keep fighting, keep the faith, and God love you all.